Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a while since I posted on my channel, but I have been occupied with new mommy roles, and if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I've had my baby girl, my precious, beautiful baby girl, Abeni Elizabeth. She was born on January 7th of this year, so 2017. A lot of you said that you liked her name. Her name is Western African, Yoruba to be exact. So you can go look that up. People tend to say Abeni, but it's actually Abeni. And Elizabeth after my mom's second name and my grandmother's first name. So I thought it was just an appropriate name for her. I am working with a script. I try to write as much as possible to share this with you. I did not have, in my opinion, I did not have the most perfect pregnancy. As a matter of fact, first trimester was very, very emotionally taxing. You know, if you have been following me for a while, you guys know that I took a break from YouTube and then I came back and I announced my pregnancy. But during that time, I was having a really, really hard time just with personal stuff going on. I had a very fit pregnancy. I mean, my doctor was complimenting me for keeping in top shape, and she even said that I was her most fit patient. That was just a flattering comment for me. But my story is less than perfect. The outcome was perfect because I have my baby, but it's my story, and I want to share this so that I can encourage other mothers out there to own their story and not feel bad about the way their labor and delivery turned out. So getting into the story, I had an appointment the day before I went into labor. I saw my doctor. She measured me. I was a little bit over a centimeter dilated. I've been there for a while, to be honest with you guys. There was no indication whatsoever that I was going to go into labor anytime soon. So it was just a general appointment. My mom came with me. There was no talk of an induction or anything like that. If I did not go into labor, then we would have had that discussion the following week. And I just hung out with my mom and we just chilled and talked and just kind of spent time together. And then the afternoon I came home and I had a warm bath. I heard that when you do that, it can start your labor. But I really did not do that to start my labor. I just wanted to have a bath before actually delivering. Because, you know, after a vaginal delivery, you cannot really take a bath. And it's been a while. So regardless, I took a warm bath. And maybe that started something. So it was the Friday. I was home. Everybody was home. Ron, my husband, and my mom. Everyone was just home relaxing. I was watching some show with Ron, and around 10:30 tonight, I noticed that I was having really, really strange contractions. They weren't Braxton Hicks, and people always say Braxton Hicks are fake contractions. They're not fake contractions. They're actually real contractions, just not strong enough to bring your baby forward or bring your baby down. But I felt like I was having really weird contractions and they felt like period cramps. I also had a bowel movement. I did. By the way, I'm going to share all of the gross information with you guys. So if that's not not your kind of thing, if you're a guy, you're looking at this, you don't care for it, by all means, do what you got to do. If you're someone under 18 and you don't care for this, just do what you got to do. But I'm going to share the information with you. And then I noticed the contractions were coming in every 15 minutes. So I was like, okay, well, there's kind of like a pattern going on here. So maybe I'm in early labor. I really wasn't sure because I have never been in labor before. So I started tracking. I got this app from Baby Center and I started tracking, and indeed I was actually having very close contractions. So I decided to go ahead and do the laundry. I didn't pay any attention to the contractions. I didn't care. I was just trying to be positive and just kind of, I was getting a little bit excited because, you know, I felt like, okay, we're headed somewhere. So I did the laundry. Then I got hungry, but there was no bread or anything like that in the fridge to make a sandwich. So I went to Sprouts. Sprouts is not very far from where I live, probably about 3 minutes drive. So I went to Sprouts and I got some bread so I can make a sandwich. When I came back home, I started calling the hospitals because I registered at 3 hospitals. I did not share that with you guys, but I registered at 3 different hospitals for various reasons. Proximity is one because you guys know that I just moved, and also certain facilities like a tub for laboring in. A tub was available at only 2 hospitals, so I registered at 3 different hospitals. When I came home, I called around because I was trying to figure out which hospital my doctor was at the night. She was not on call that weekend, so it didn't matter. But anyway, I double checked my registration and everything like that. I shaved. I did my nails. All of this going on while I was having contractions. I did my nails. I made sure my halo braid, my hair was in order. I took a shower. And I dressed. And I just kind of hung around the house. Oh, before all of that, I actually worked out. I worked out in the house. I did some light body weight exercises, but I did high rep and just to pass the time. But anyways, it was a few minutes, probably 15 minutes to 1. I went to the bathroom again and peed. And when I wiped, I noticed this gooey red stuff. And I immediately knew that was my mucus plug. So at that point in time, I woke Ron up because he was asleep. And I said, you need to take me to the hospital now. So anyways, we got to the hospital after like a 20-25 minutes drive, maybe 20 minutes. And the nurses at the front checked me in. It was very short because I was already pre-registered. So they just kind of took a minute to verify all of my information. And then they took me to triage. And then the other nurse there checked me out for, my dilation and so, and then I was actually 2 centimeters dilated. So within that short space of time, I made, significant progress. Honestly, the contractions were coming in about 10 minutes apart, and they were lasting for like 2-3 minutes. I kid you not. I was even surprised because I couldn't understand why they were coming in like one after the other like that. They were like rolling in. So anyways, they decided to admit me, and Ron was there. He took a nap for a couple of hours, and then he went back home to get my mom so she can come to the hospital and be with me. To pass the time, I listened to music, I watched television. I wasn't allowed to eat anything, so I was really grateful that I had a meal before I went to the hospital. And they put me in the room where there was the tub, specifically for laboring in, because I requested that. And I was just there passing time. So that was from 1:30-ish to about 7:30 in the morning. Okay, 1:30 to 7:30, and I got to 2 centimeters. I'm sorry, I got to 4 centimeters. When I went to triage, I was already at 2 centimeters. So from 1:30 to 7:30, I was at 4 centimeters. Honestly, the pain wasn't bad at all. I was just there, just kind of irritated with the achy feeling. Felt like a period. I haven't had a period in a long time. So I was like, what is this? In my head, I wasn't going to do an epidural or anything like that. I know I shared with some of you that I was going for an all-natural birth. So for me, there was no other way. There was no option. And I was just there chilling with my 4 centimeters dilation. I was 100% effaced. My cervix was pretty ready, but I was at 4 centimeters dilated. But anyways, from 7:30 all the way to about, let's say 11:30-ish, I was on an emotional roller coaster, and here is why. My contractions were so strong that they were really giving my baby a hard time. Every time I had a contraction, her heartbeat went down by 75 plus percent. And there were times that her heartbeat actually stopped. And that happened so many times within that period of time. I couldn't even take it. I mean, imagine you're about to become a mom and then there's a possibility of something going wrong and the baby's heartbeat just stopped every time. And then you see the nurses, they're frantic, and the doctors, they're coming in, and everyone is just so concerned. I mean, it was really, really a scary and frightening experience for me. I just couldn't take it. I feel like, oh my God, I hope my baby makes it. I hope my baby makes it. And that is all I kept thinking. The doctors were a little bit baffled because they didn't understand how I could be having such intense contractions but not dilating. And one nurse even said those contractions that I was having, she would describe them as pushing contractions, the type of contractions I would want when it was time to push. Well, it wasn't time to push. I was still at 4 centimeters at the time, and you know you need to get up to 10 centimeters dilated to even start pushing. So I did whatever was possible. I changed positions in the bed. I moved around. I wasn't allowed to get into the tub as yet because they needed to do some further tests and things like that. And about 1:30, so a couple of hours after, I actually went to 5 centimeters. So I felt like, yes, you know, I know it's been a couple of hours, but 1 centimeter, I was really, really hopeful. But then we had the problem. And this was really like the weirdest thing ever. I was at 5 centimeters and then my cervix started thickening up and the baby just stopped descending in my birth canal. The doctors came in, they started talking about a C-section, and when I heard that, I got so frightened, guys, because I did not think that was even going to be a possibility that day. I was so afraid that I physically felt cold, and they had to bring me like layers and layers of warm blankets. I cried and cried a lot because everything was just happening so fast. About minutes to 3, I don't remember the exact time, the doctor came in. He was very serious. He said, you know, I understand that you had a very fit pregnancy. I understand this is what you wanted for your labor and delivery. But if we do not get the baby out, the outcome is not going to be good for the baby. So I was just there stressing out because imagine you having to make a decision there and then, and it was something you just did not plan for at all. The only way I could have rationalized having a C-section was for the baby. It was for the baby and not about me. So the way they presented the scenario was there was no other option. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do the C-section. I really wasn't happy at all. They called the anesthesiologist in to give me the epidural because that is what they do. That is what they used. So they gave me the epidural. Once I got the epidural, I couldn't feel anything. And honestly, I could see why women get the epidural. And even though I understand that, it is still something I wouldn't opt for. And now having gone through a C-section, I would not even do that if I had a choice. I know people do elective cesarean section, but I wouldn't choose that for myself. And that's just a personal choice for a number of reasons, having gone through one myself. They wheeled me in. They gave Ron, it was either Ron or my mom, to come into the operating room. My mom did not want to be there. She said she couldn't stomach it. She was just going to have a hard time. So Ron came in. He was dressed and everything like that. And they wheeled me in. And honestly, guys, I was just shaking uncontrollably on that bed. I mean, I was literally just shaking because I was so afraid. So they wheeled me into this room. And when I got in there, I saw like 10 people. They had like really bright lights. Everyone was just busy doing something. And I was just really afraid. I desperately needed my husband because they didn't let him in immediately. So when I realized like he wasn't there and it would take him forever to get him in, I got really nasty with my words. I just lost it. I was very adamant. I wanted him there. They tried to calm me down. I said some things that I'm not going to say to you guys, but I was livid and I was afraid. I remember distinctly there was a point where I couldn't breathe because I was flat on my back. I couldn't breathe and I kept saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. And they keep telling me to calm down, you're going to be fine. And that's the worst. Like when you know you're so flustered and someone says, calm down, that drives me over the edge. So I don't know what strength I got. I just literally pushed myself up a little bit because, you know, I was numb from here all the way down. So I pushed myself up a little bit just to be able to breathe. I'm not sure why they didn't believe me, but I physically could not take air in. And I know it's because of the fear. I was really, really afraid of what was going to happen. But anyways, Ron came in and I was laying down and then he was behind me and I kept looking at him and I was just saying whatever was on my mind. My conversation with him made no sense. I know he was just trying to be supportive. But what I was saying to him made no sense. I mean, our conversation was just all over the place due to me and just the fear of being there. But I did feel pressure. I felt pressure, the relief when they pulled the baby out. I didn't feel pain or anything, just kind of pressure. When they pulled her out, when I saw her, I was so overwhelmed with joy that I started crying. And then I heard her cry, and then that made it a little bit more emotional. I was in tears. And then they placed her on my chest. Oh my gosh. And it was the most amazing moment. And I loved her so much. And that's all I can say. I loved her so much. You guys know that I've been bonding with her since before birth. I tried so hard to, I know I'm crying, to get the most out of my pregnancy, just to, you know, bond with her. So post-delivery, I was in shock. I was still trying to process what happened because it was major surgery. I mean, they cut me on my bikini line. Maybe one day I'll show you guys, but right now I can't even look because it's a bit awkward to look down like this. But I lost my train of thought. But I was in shock for a while. I was still very much traumatized by having to make such an immediate decision. My mom was there to support me 24/7. I mean, she stayed in the hospital with me for a good 2-3 days. When I was finally able to take a bath, she was the one who came and literally helped me in the bathroom. Like, she washed my back and everything. When I was struggling to go pee, she was the one who walked me over to the commode to pee and, you know, just take care of my personal needs. And it was a struggle. I was in such pain. I remember one time when Ron and my mom, they were in a room and I had to get off the bed. Getting off the bed was such a challenge. Just trying to function was just a challenge because I was so out of it. And I still had to tend to my baby. I still had to keep up with breastfeeding, and that in itself was a challenge. But I remembered when they tried to move me from the bed just to stand up, I screamed because I was in so much pain. And I was discharged. When I came home, I was just flooded with emotions because all I kept thinking was like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm not a mom. I'm just emotionally spent. I felt emotionally drained. I don't know why. I guess because I'm a first-time mom. Ron isn't a first-time parent. He has had years of experience with this. And I know I'm not alone, but for me, I was still very overwhelmed, even though I had help, especially for my mom. My mom has really been my support person. My mom went over and above for me. And when I got home, I felt like my home was just not prepared for someone who just had a cesarean. I missed the hospital bed, just having the rails to pull myself up. I missed having that. I really wasn't able to sleep at all. I'm still unable to sleep properly. What else can I tell you guys? Physically, it's an adjustment, and I think being fit throughout pregnancy is really what's helping me recover. I posted a picture where I was standing on Instagram. I was standing up after my procedure. People didn't know I had a procedure, but when they realized that I had a C-section, they were like, oh my God, and you were standing up after that? Yes, I was standing the day after. So I know being fit helped. That is what's helping me with my recovery. Guys, this is going to be a setback because I'm going to be home for 8 weeks. I go back to work in the middle of March if I do. And that's going to be after spring break. But, you know, I know they're seeing me walking around, but I'm in so much pain physically. I'm using whatever medication they're giving me, but I also have to tend to my baby. So I'm trying to keep a certain level of alertness and being functional for the sake of bonding with my baby, or strengthening the bond with my baby. A lot is about to change. Maybe a lot is about to change just within my household. Not really sure I'm prepared for all of that, but I'm really trying. But having a C-section was not something I planned for, but it happened. It's my story. When I look at my baby, she's here. Would I do it again? I will most likely do it again just to have her here. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of like when people have really bad labor and you have a vaginal delivery and they say they're going to do it all over again. It's kind of like the same thing for me. But other than that, that's really all that I could have remembered. Abeni is over there sleeping. She's really a good baby. I cannot complain at all. I had this idea that she was going to be kicking and screaming around the clock, and she's really not. She's really chilled. People say that's going to change, but you don't know. What I know is now I'm grateful. Our breastfeeding has improved. She's latching on and feeding, and when I get really engorged, I express the milk, so I still have a great supply of breast milk. I mean, like in one pumping session, I'll get like 2 full bottles. TMI. But that's it, guys. And I appreciate you. I think I'll come back and just reflect on everything, my having a C-section, and just do a little reflection. But Abeni's doing well. She had her checkup. She had her 2-week appointment, and she's doing great. She's growing well. And I still have my goals, and once I have the green light, I will definitely be back with my workouts. So until next time, peace, and do follow me on Instagram at the Carib Spice for all the cute baby pics.